Hello everyone and welcome. My name is Roberto Corona. I am an Italian anthroposopher and astrologer, and in this video we're going to talk about the first Mercury retrograde of the year. And as we said previously, Mercury retrograde in 2026 is going to stop in all three water signs, Pisces, Cancer, and Scorpio, creating a so-called elemental triangle of water. In fact, as you can see in this picture, the orbit of Mercury creates in the sky these sort of three rings, these three loops throughout the year. And this happens 3 times a year and lasts for about 3 weeks. And highlighted in white, you can also see the points where Mercury is making a conjunction with the Sun during the year, creating this beautiful pattern, which is a 6-pointed star in the sky, a so-called hexagram. Now here you can see a complete list of Mercury 3 stations throughout the year. In Pisces from February 26 to March 20th, in Cancer from June 29 to July 23, and in Scorpio from October 24 to November 13. So what does it mean that Mercury is retrograde? In general, as you know, Mercury is the planet of thinking, of the mind, of problem solving, as well as communication and all interconnections such as roads and public transportation and stuff like that. So when Mercury is retrograde, all these things stop working properly. Now on top of that, Mercury is in Pisces, and this means that Mercury is very debilitated. This is because, as we say in astrology, Mercury in Pisces is in both exile and fall. And this means that Mercury is not able to solve most of the practical problems that life demands us to fix. This is because Mercury in Pisces is a mind that lives in fantasy, that lives in the clouds. It is a dreamy mind that corresponds to the Peter Pan archetype. So it is definitely favorable, I would say, to creativity, art, poetry, as well as the writing of songs or fictional novels, stuff like that. But it represents a mind that lacks objectivity and clarity and tends to be rather confused. In particular, we will see that this Mercury retrograde in Pisces creates harmonious aspects with both the benefic planets that are Venus and Jupiter. And this tends to color our imagination with dreams and fantasies specifically related to love, which is of course a Venusian signification, as well as to success, which is something that Jupiter usually grants, especially a Jupiter in Cancer, by the way, which is in exaltation. Now this means that we have to be careful not to give in too much to illusions, because we know that Pisces is a Neptunian sign, and in this sense, it can make us quite delusional. Now, this is especially the case if we start making up too many stories in our heads. And here, the risk of being disappointed mainly comes from 2 things. Point 1, Mercury retrograde occurs during the first eclipse season of the year, which, as we know, is a very challenging time that usually brings sudden events. Point 2, approaching its second station, Mercury makes a conjunction with Mars, which can easily lead to arguments and misunderstandings because Mars, as we know, is the god of war. However, on a spiritual level, at least, I would like to remind you that Mercury retrograde is favorable for inner work, since the planet of the mind is directed inwardly rather than the outside. And in Pisces, this transit can be very favorable for meditation, for dream work, and reaching higher states of consciousness, always being wary of any illusions that, especially in the spiritual field, are just around the corner. Let's now take a look at the aspects Mercury makes with the other planets between February and March. As we mentioned, it's a very intense month since we have 2 eclipses, which you can see here, one on February 17 and the other on March the 3rd. So first of all, Mercury turns retrograde starting on February 26 and immediately makes a conjunction with Venus in Pisces. So this is the conjunction here. From this perspective, be careful about any romantic pitfalls, right? This is followed by the eclipse of March the 3rd, which occurs in the sign of Virgo. Now, this is very, very interesting because this means that Mercury retrograde in Pisces will be the ruler of that eclipse, and we will talk about it in the next video, so make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We also know that after the eclipse, Mercury begins a long trine with Jupiter in Cancer that you can see here in green. And this is very, very positive because Jupiter is the ruler of Pisces. And this means it will tend to support Mercury starting from, I would say, March 5 or 6. Be careful during the week around March 15 here, because Mercury is going to conjoining Mars, thus increasing the risk of arguments and misunderstandings that we mentioned. Finally, I leave you with the dates of the different phases of Mercury retrograde, with its 2 stations at 22 degrees 33 minutes and 8 degrees and 29 minutes Pisces. In particular, Mercury entered the shadow zone on February 12. It will be retrograde from February 26th to March 20th, and it will exit the shadow zone only from April 10. Thanks for watching. As always, if you want to support my work, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell not to miss out on future astrological insights. I am Roberto Corona. See you in the next video.